Hello everybody, this is Mark from coachestrainingroom.com, and we're going to be discussing the field awareness and game intelligence of our youth players and looking at ways to develop that. So let's start by saying passing, shooting, running with the ball, anything along these lines, they're all improved by motor skill development and physical improvement, as well as a lot of practice. Now these ingredients, this is essentially the hardware of our game of soccer. These are the bits that we go over in practice. These ingredients can be quickly nullified by players who are slower, perhaps. If the slower player can think and act quicker than the faster, physically stronger players, then the slower player who can think quicker will have the advantage over that player. If you've got the upper hand on the field of this, they'll gain the upper hand through this because of their ability to position themselves quicker, position themselves in better positions, and actually therefore have a little bit more time. And if they can couple that with the ability to think ahead of time, they're going to see opportunities arising quicker, and that's going to allow them to play better passes and ultimately play quicker than any physical attribute will allow them to. So if we discuss that a little bit further, I've often asked my players during practices which moves faster, a soccer ball or any of you players. And typically speaking, you'll get a mixed response. More often than not, logical thinkers are going to view the ball in as a static object where the ball cannot move without any force. So therefore, I'll win that foot race against the ball. Some people just believe in their own sprint speed, in fact, and they think that they could actually beat that ball. Others will be aware very quickly that any pass played over 15 yards will arrive at the destination much quicker than any sprint would allow. So if they were to accept the challenge and you played a 15-yard pass in the time that they could play a 15-yard sprint, they would therefore see that the ball would arrive at the destination much quicker than they would. And that really hits the nail on the head there. If you make the ball do the work, you're going to work the defending team a lot harder. And as an intelligent player, you can consider that pass ahead of time. You can play the pass while the less intelligent player or the physically faster player who is chasing after the ball, by the time that they've reacted to what's happened and the pass has been played, they're still chasing. They're having to react and follow. So they're spending a lot of time and a lot of excess energy chasing the ball around, making sprints, closing passes down, when really they're chasing shadows, because the ball, if it's played consecutively quick, they're going to be keeping these players moving all around the field, and that's going to create all sorts of gaps, not only to play the ball into, but also to move into for those intelligent players. Absolutely love exploiting little pockets of space so they can allow themselves to receive the ball. They've given themselves a couple of seconds just to take a touch and turn on the ball, and then they can look up for the next pass. If they're in the advanced position, they can look for a killer ball into a really dangerous area to create a chance on goal, or equally they could move forward into more space and perhaps take a shot on themselves. So these mental skills, they can be developed by players, by coaches. They're developed by players or digested at different speeds. So for us as coaches, it's fantastic that we're working on the fine-tuning, the technical skills, the technical ability, but it's also important that we don't overlook the actual why we're doing certain things. How does this benefit us on the field? And it's really, really important to create a safe learning environment, just to allow players to feel confident to express themselves, contribute as part of a group, because we are a collective, we're a team, and not feel afraid to ask questions when they don't understand. Now this is important if we're going to be stopping and starting certain games, certain situations, to ask questions. I want all my players to feel confident that they can contribute to what we're talking about, and really I want the players to answer these questions for themselves, because that is going to be the thing that teaches them the most. If they understand, I can tell them all day long that they should be looking to play a pass in behind the defender in this situation, or somebody should have come short to receive the ball. But if I don't allow them to see why, and I don't understand, I don't let them answer for themselves so that they can work out why that gave them more space, why that was the right pass for that situation, then I can't be certain that they're actually digesting this, and it's just me remote controlling my players, telling them what to do in certain situations. So it's important that I encourage them to ask questions, to answer questions, and to feel comfortable in that environment. Because if we stop a game, we're allowing the players to see what we see as coaches during games. So I've frozen every player on the field in a certain situation. I might maybe a pass went to the wrong place, or one of my team played another teammate into trouble when there was a better pass on. So we can stop the game, we can freeze at that point, we can rewind 5 seconds, and we can say, okay, why did this go wrong? And we can and it's not a pointing fingers exercise. This is nobody's fault. This is a collective team effort here. So we lost the ball as a group. So why did that happen? And if we put that question to players, you'll get some good answers. And then you can start to move players on the field. You say, okay, well, if that is your opinion, where would you move to this time? And give them 5 seconds to pick a new position, and then maybe allow a free pass from there. So the first pass is free, and the defending team, they're not allowed to move until they've received the ball. That just gives us as a team the opportunity to see what we see as coaches, the things that maybe drive us insane on the sidelines. Now they've seen it for themselves, and they've actually learnt from that, and we've progressed. Now the session we're going to look at here to help us break down, or to help us practice what we're looking at here, to really compound the learning elements. We're going to look a little bit at overwhelming the players and throwing them into a really, really tight game situation, but it's a little bit loaded, so it's a little bit in favour of the team in possession. So we're going to give them more chance of success and a chance to build the confidence and really try and compound what we're focusing on here. So we've got an area, it's about 15 by 15 yards. We've got a couple of players positioned around the outside of the square. Now they're going to play in with no pressure whatsoever. They can move anywhere around the outside of the square. They can't go into the square because that's where the defending players are. They're just moving to support the players and link up the play. Now in the area we've got another 3 players of the possession team. So essentially we've got a 6 against 2 situation. Feel free to make that a 6v3 situation if you need to, just to make it a little bit more difficult. But for starters, I think it's important that we just get we allow the extra man, and we just give the team in possession every chance of success, and we can build on that in increments, make it more difficult as we go, and that's where we're getting the full learning aspect from. So the idea of the game, there's going to be 2 defenders that occupy the middle of the area as well. Now the team in possession, they're going to try and make passes inside the square back to outside of the square. So they're passing into a pressure situation. If they can make one successful pass to another teammate within the area and then a pass out to the outside again, that's going to score 1 point. So the important thing is here that we're making a good pass in, we're moving inside. If we're inside there, I don't really want to see anybody jogging around the area. I want to see either stood still, moving slowly with a quick burst to receive a pass, or taking a defender away. You have the extra player here, so it's going to be noticeable to a coach. If we're losing possession quite a lot, then that's going to boil down to our movement. Our movement wasn't quite clever enough, we weren't doing enough of it, or our effort wasn't there, because we have an extra man, so we should always have a passing option at every time. Now the difficulty is going to come when we're inside the area, is we've got 3 against 2, one player is going to have the ball. If that pass isn't made quickly, we're going to be closed down and we're going to lose possession of the ball. So the idea is we're making a pass into the middle, the players in the middle are working nice and hard to create a little bit of space, and the players around the outside at this point, when we've made the pass, we appreciate that in the middle we're not going to be able to afford a lot of time, so can we give them an easy out, an easy pressure release? So I might need to move around the other side of the area, or I might see a position through a couple of players, but I need to make it known to that player because they're not going to have a lot of time on that ball. I need to make it vocal that I'm in a good passing, receiving position, should I say. So if you've made it 3 versus 6 and you've got that extra player, you could have the team in possession rotate. So because there's 3 players on each team, if let's say the blue team in the middle, they make a slack pass and it gets picked up by the yellow team, they switch roles. So now we've got the blue team become the defending team, the yellow team become the possession team in the middle, and they're trying to keep the ball. So we should really encourage positive play during this. Players in the middle should try and open their body to the play, see if a pass is available. If they're receiving on the outside, now they might not be able to turn infield. So what we need to do is, if they've come short to receive a pass, can my teammates move around him to my peripheral vision so that I can see them? Because if I turn around and I'm into trouble, that player might have been in fantastic space, but at the time I had my back to them. In which case, the space isn't quite as good as I first thought, because it's not a viable pass, it's not an available pass. Important here that we don't worry if we make mistakes. It's quite a high pressure situation, this, which is why we started it off as 3v2 in the middle. So be patient with your team, talk to them, let them know, okay, well, that didn't go right, but why did it not go right? Don't worry about it, just encourage them to brush it off and try again. What I really want is players to feel comfortable in possession of the ball, understand why it went wrong, and players are going to learn the most from the things that go wrong. So if play breaks down, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's just try and look at it from a learning aspect. How can we learn from that? So it's all about being comfortable on the ball under pressure, and obviously the mistakes are going to be a massive learning factor from that. If you do still need to take it back a little bit, you can take another defender out of there. Don't be afraid to do that and play essentially a 6 or 7 versus 1, just to get the passes going, just to get us feeling comfortable on the ball, not being afraid if the player is right behind me and I've got the ball, just remembering that I am still in control of that situation. I've got my body between ball and player. Can I get my head up very quickly and look for a pass? And are my teammates supporting me? Now, to get the most out of this on-demand module, we would encourage that you've had your team practice the 4-week session plan on the passing skills builder, just to get, that's in our free section, just to get get our passes working for us, get the passing confidence there, just so that we can use that as a foundational building block for this particular 4-week module.